Good afternoon. My name is Steve Casey. I'm the owner and president of Casey Family Options, Funerals and Cremations, and I hope this videotape finds you all safe at home and staying healthy. The coronavirus has affected many families, many individuals, and many more small businesses. The funeral industry is now considered an essential service, always has been, but they've actually elevated us to a critical infrastructure. Just means that a society cannot operate without someone to care for their dead. The coronavirus presents many different issues as far as the funeral home is considered, and we'd like to just go over some of those factors and how we're handling things to not only keep my employees safe and my family safe, but our client families as well safe. Here at Casey Family Options, we try our best to adhere to all the recommendations of the National Funeral Directors Association, the CDC, as well as the World Health Organization, in exactly how we should be handling these bodies. The issue is there's not enough known about the coronavirus, and the information that we get almost changes on a daily basis, which is why it is so important to keep our employees safe, to keep our families safe, and keep our client families that we serve safe as well. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it provides some insight as to the struggles that the funeral industry faces when facing this coronavirus. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aziz Al-Sager, and I'm the lead funeral director here at Casey Family Options, Funerals and Cremations. And these are two of our apprentices. To my left here is Thomas Casey, and to my right is Michael Casey. We're the three faces that more than likely you would see in a house call or in a removal taking care of your loved one. And in these turbulent times of COVID-19, we wanted to just give you an insight as to what we have to do to keep ourselves and our families that we serve as protected and safe during this time. When we show up on a scene, especially when somebody is typically COVID-19 positive, this is just a few of the items of the equipment that we have to use. As you can see, we have asked Michael here to don all the proper PPE equipment that we use for what we would consider a COVID-19 positive death. We're going to start with his mask here, which is a typical N95 respirator that we use. It's the first thing we put on before we even get out of the van when we're going onto a scene. From there, we will take ourselves to the back of the removal van, and that's where we will properly don the rest of our equipment. We begin with, as you can see on his feet here, the shoe coverings, so that we can protect, because as we've been told in the media and in the news and from the CDC and WHO, that this virus can last on surfaces for multiple days. So we want to make sure that we don't have any of it lingering on our clothes or on any of our equipment when we come back into the funeral home, because as we said before, we're trying to keep not only ourselves safe, but our families that we help safe. Next, we will begin by putting on gloves. Now in this instance, we put on 2 pairs of gloves. We put on our Safe Grip Microflex thick gloves. These are about 3 times the thickness of what a typical latex glove is. And that blue glove will pretty much stay on the entire time until we leave the facility or wherever we are at. The next one we will put on is, as you can see, just a standard latex glove. This we will change at least 4 times or more just on scene, and then when we get back to the funeral home, we will change it even more when we're dealing with a COVID-19 case. Because basically anytime we touch a COVID-19 body, because as we said before, this virus can last for a very long time on surfaces, we remove the outer layer of glove, and the blue glove on our hand acts as though like our hand. So we then just re-glove to make sure that we're not putting anything and transferring anything on the blue glove. From there, we don our Tyvek suit here, or gown, as you can see, just covers our whole body, 3/4 of the length, all the way down to just past the knees. It is cuffs and comes all the way down to the arms to protect us completely. Then we put on a plastic apron. Now on scene, the reason why we have this on is because as we are touching or making any contact with the COVID-19 positive body, anything will be on this apron, and we can remove that so that we don't have to reuse these, because a lot of this equipment is getting hard to find now. So we are trying to make sure that we utilize our equipment properly so that we always have it when we need it. So this, at the end of the scene, after we place the body inside the van, on our way back to the funeral home, we can take this off without having to waste the gown and have to put on another one. We have a hairnet. We also have a face shield and eye protection. all have to be done the entire time while we are on scene and when we get back to the funeral home to, as I said, keep ourselves protected, keep our families, and keep the families that we serve protected. Because that's our number one priority, is safety. And with that, along goes with the protective spray chemicals that we use. One is a tuberculoside here, which has also been shown to kill the coronavirus, and a lemicide. We use these quite large amounts of each one of these when we are on scene, in our car, on ourselves, and when we get back to the funeral home. So just to kind of show you how a typical removal is made, once Michael here is all donned and another partner with him is done, in all their equipment, we go into the house, taking at least one bottle. We take 2 body bags, one being of 6 millimeter thickness. It's a thinner bag, and then we use an 8 millimeter thickness for more protection to make sure. So once a COVID-19 positive body is placed into both bags, we no longer have to worry about the virus escaping at that point. So what we do is we come in, we assess how we're going to make the removal, and then we get our cot set up. We take the first body bag, set it on the cot, open it up completely, and then we spray it completely down with the tuberculoside here. We place the body onto the first body bag, and then we close it. As we're closing it, we take off the first set of gloves, as I mentioned, and then we finish closing the bag, spray everything down, including our hands, with tuberculoside, place on a second set of gloves. Then we open second set of body bag, and then we place first body bag into second body bag, spraying everything down again with the spray bottle. Right as we're closing it up, we take off the latex gloves on the outside, place them inside the body bag, spray everything down again, place another set onto our hands. Now, if we are in a house situation, we will try to make sure that we spray everything down because, again, as I said, I want to make sure that it's well known that safety for everyone is our number one concern. So we will spray every surface down that we come into contact with or that we think that the deceased has come in contact with, to also protect all the members in the household too, so to make sure that this virus doesn't linger on a surface for a long time. So we will be spraying your beds, we'll be spraying tables, we'll be spraying everything around us and everything as we leave too. Then we place the person inside the van. Once we do that, we have a red disposable biohazard bag with us that we place the apron, as I mentioned, we take off. Again, we take off the next set of gloves, and then we put on another set of gloves so that we can remove the shoe coverings off the feet and place those inside the bag so that we can get into the car without spreading the virus around. Now, typically when we drive back, we leave all of this on, because that way we don't have to waste the equipment and are able to use it again when we get back to the funeral home, because again, a lot of this equipment is getting very scarce nowadays. Thank you everyone for watching this video today. I hope that you have found it informational. You've gotten a small taste of what us as funeral directors have had to do to combat the COVID-19 virus and keeping the public and ourselves safe. As Steve told you, we are critical infrastructure. We are the last line to make sure that this virus does not go any further than it needs to or already has. So again, thank you for watching the video.
Once again, folks, my name is Thomas Casey. I'm an apprentice funeral director with Casey Family Options, Funerals and Cremations, and I'm also a mortuary science student at Worsham's College of Mortuary Science in Wheeling, Illinois. One of the more difficult aspects of dealing with the COVID-19 crisis nowadays is the fact that by recommendations of the World Health Organization, family members of deceased are recommended that they don't come into contact with the deceased prior to death. And equally, one of the more challenging aspects that we have experienced is the fact that loved ones haven't been able to pay their proper respects to the deceased of COVID-19 patients.
One of the things we also wanted to talk about today is the process of conducting the funeral and how difficult that is with grieving families based on the recommendations of the stay-at-home ban. Aziz, would you care to expound on that?
Thank you, Steve. So here, how we've had to do things is far different than we've ever had to do in the past. I know Steve has quite a few years experience. I have 20 years experience in this industry, and we've never had to handle funerals the way that we have in the last 3 months. So typically, if somebody wants to have a funeral, now we have to do it private family only. By order of Governor Evers, it's supposed to be 10 or less. We have done it with more than 10, but we have social distancing. We only let small groups in at a time, and we try to keep everybody separated. We will have a memorial service or funeral for the family, and then go out to the cemetery and do a burial. And same thing goes at the cemetery. It doesn't matter if we're indoors or outdoors. You have to be social distancing 6 feet apart. That has been probably the most difficult part of all of this lately, is just not being able to open it up to the public, allow everybody who wants to come and pay their respects, which is part of the grieving process for the family, to see and hear the stories from everybody, and they're not able to.
And of course, one of the difficult aspects is any of the bodies that we deal with that are COVID-19 positive, the recommendations of the World Health Organization is that embalming not take place, and nobody views that body after it is removed from the place of death. And from a grieving standpoint, there are studies out there that state that if you're able to view the deceased, it assists in your grieving process. So that has been very difficult and very emotionally challenging for not only Aziz and myself, but our entire staff as well.
But we have found that even with everything going on, still having some form of a funeral, even if it's for the family, is still a very positive experience for them, because the fact that they're able to be there and be able to say goodbye is still a positive experience that we want to try to share and give to families during these difficult times.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed this little video today talking about some of the challenges that we've had in the funeral industry in regards to the coronavirus. I want to thank my entire staff, Aziz, and my sons Thomas and Michael, for handling this in a very professional manner. We are not afraid of the coronavirus, but we just need to make sure that things are handled properly when dealing with loved ones and dealing with the families that we serve. So once again, thank you for your time and patience, and we appreciate your continued support.